What is up, my good people? In this video, I'm going to show you how you can make your own Voidwalker bait build. Whippy, yippee, skippy, right? Aren't you excited? So, before we get fully into it, I need to explain a few things, a few very important factors. The entire point of a Voidwalker bait build is to be a low star bounty with as high of damage and as high as health as possible. What the heck? What are you doing, bruh? And Voidwalker baiting, pretty fun, highly recommend. You basically just get to like sit around and then a Voidwalker will spawn on you and you get to kill them because they're easy, because you have really high damage and all that fun stuff. It's just karma. We love karma. For Voidwalkers, there are these things called bounty stars when they pick a bounty. So when they pick up a bounty, it shows what star level they are, and this basically shows the difficulty of the player they're going to go against. And these are determined by what your power level is, if you have a resonance, if you have an oath, if you have blah blah blah. So our goal with Voidwalker baiting is to get as low of a star level as possible with having as best of equipment and weapon and stuff as possible without raising our points too high. So I'm going to go over what I do and what I've done and what talents you should go for and what weapons you should go for and equipment, and just some other little tips and tricks, because I'm kind of a veteran at this. I'm a pro. I've been doing this Voidwalker baiting thing for a while. And now let's just get into it. So first off, I do not recommend using Shrine of Order. I think there's almost no good way to make a Voidwalker bait build while using Shrine of Order. So just completely forget Shrine of Order. I know that's going to feel really weird. Shrine of Order is awesome, but you can't use it and make a good build specifically for Voidwalker baiting. So I'm sorry. And to do maximum damage, you will want to go for basically attunementless. You do not really want to be using an element because you don't have many stats. So you can't really go weapons and element at the same time. It's very, very important. Remember this, get a weapon stat to 80 investment points. And the reason we want to get 80 of something, specifically a weapon stat, I highly recommend a weapon stat, is because you can level up your mantras to max level 5. So it'll do the maximum amount of damage possible for your level. And for the most part, most people go Shrine of Order, which means their weapon stat will be at 0 or 1 when you fight them. And yours will be at 80, and so will your mantras be maxed out. So that's already a huge advantage. And none of this adds points to your total bounty stars. Like for instance, I'm power 12. I went 94 medium and I have a level 5 Master's Flourish. And as I said earlier, no attunement unless you're going for an elemental weapon, but I would not do that because most of them are legendaries, which is plus 10 points. And the Voidwalker will usually know something's up with you if you have an elemental weapon at power 10 or whatever power you're at. And also it's just not viable. I don't recommend. And we're basically trying to abuse the points. As I showed earlier, which I'll go back to that, each star is labeled by a certain amount of points, and these are affected by these down here. So 5 points for power, 15 points for having a resonance, 10 points for having an oath. So depending on what your total amount is from all these things, your stars will go up. So what we're trying to do is go on the high end. So these only go by 5s or 10s. So the max you're going to get, this is 39, but you're only going to be able to get 35 or 55 or 75. I recommend 2-star, 3-star, or 4-star. Anything above that, it's just not really baiting anymore. We're basically trying to get people before they Shrine of Order, because after they've Shrine of Order, it's kind of just like you're kind of on a similar level as them, and it's not as funny. And it's also funnier to be like, this guy's a 2-star bounty and he's got Bell, or this guy's a 2-star bounty and he's doing like a bar per hit. It's just better that way. So Voidwalker builds are also very min-maxed, as you would probably assume, and this will also feel kind of weird, but once your build is basically done, you're going to want to invest your stats all the way up until there's only 1 point left and then lock everything. The reason being, this will not give you another power up, but it will give you 14 more points to invest without increasing your bounty points. You can use these to get another talent you missed, or just invest it all into weapon, which is what I usually do. Like for instance, my build, I ended at 80 medium to get the level 5 mantras, and then I just went 14 more so I can get even more M1 damage. And now let's get into the fun stuff. So bells are the most fun part of these builds, but they do come with a cost of 15 star points. And if you're wondering how to get a bell when you're like power 8 through 12, you have a couple options, and they might be a little bit difficult, so you're probably going to need a friend for these. But personally, I do either Chaser or I do Diluvian. Chaser's my main source of getting bells for the most part when I do this, but I usually do it with a friend. So you're probably going to need a friend for honestly any of the direction you're doing bell prog. Unless you're skilled enough, then you can do it solo. Sometimes I do it solo, but yeah, definitely not for the faint of heart. But anyways, moving on. So if you choose to get a bell, also try to do one of these things to hide it. Equip a Pathfinder's Lantern. I do not have one on this account, but it's something pretty common. You can find it at Arisia, and you can also craft them pretty simply. Just look it up on the wiki. Or you can change it to the smallest, least visible variant and dye it to a non-flashy color like black. This is what I personally like to do because it's just kind of, it's not that noticeable unless people are really paying attention. You can change the variant at the barber guy, and you can change the color with a dye packet, as you would assume. And as I said earlier, all the things you get contribute to your total star points. So to stay as low of bounty as possible, I do recommend not going for an oath because it gives you 10 points. And your oath also shows up on the bounty board, so it'll be kind of obvious that something's wrong. I recommend no enchants or legendaries. It's not worth the 10 points going up. There are a lot of high damage non-legendary weapons. For example, all the Cures weapons are not legendaries. And I recommend no armors past starter level. Starter armors do not count into your total points. So for on this account, I just have the rags because I'm just fully committing to it. But you can actually get these starter armors. I only have a few unlocked, but you can get these and these will not count for anything. If you get Adept, though, this will be 5 points, Experts 10 points, and then so on. It's 15 points for master armors. Just really be paying attention and calculating your total points in mind before you make your build, because you don't want to go too high. So for some good examples of how I would keep within 3 to 4 stars, and these are no oath, no enchant or legendary, and no armor past star level builds. You could do power 12 with Bell, which is 75 points, a 3-star bounty. Power 8 with Bell, 55 points, 2-star bounty. Power 15 no Bell, 75 points, only a 3-star bounty for a power 15. Power 11 no Bell is 55 points and a 2-star bounty. Now we're going to get a little more specific of how you can actually make your own and what stuff I recommend to get when you're making your build. So some good weapons to use that are not very sus are Alloyed Katana, Alloyed Vigil Longsword, and Razor Cutlass. For heavy weapons, honestly, any of the alloyed ones are pretty good, as long as it's not too flashy. And I'm not going to mention any light weapons because light weapons are trash. They stinking suck. And I also don't use them, so I can't tell you. And now for investing your stat points. 25 is going to be your favorite stat number. 25 agility, 25 charisma, and 25 strength will allow you to get just about all you need. If you want to go further, you can put points into fortitude for extra health or talents. Strength itself doesn't have that much, but strength is a requirement for some agility talents and even fortitude talents. For instance, Spine Cutter is 25 agility and 20 strength. So it's just good to get around 25 strength just in case. Plus you also get extra armor pen. We love armor pen. 25 agility is going to get you a lot of different talents, but I'll let you choose which ones are the best for the build you're making. But here's some that I really like. Endurance Runner, even when things look dire, you still having to keep your legs moving. This also requires 25 fortitude. Crazy. 25 is your number. What did I tell you? And then you could go for Risky Moves. Risky Moves basically is like if you dodge an attack, you'll dodge the next one automatically. But I personally recommend doing Observation and Safety Dance. These are better and more helpful for just your dodging. But if you get Risky Moves, you cannot get these and vice versa. So just keep that in mind. And then I don't have it on this account, but Going Nowhere is pretty good. It basically stops people from being able to sprint for a while and basically negates all their speed boosts if they dodge an attack. And then Charisma. This is very important. Charisma is my favorite. You only need 2 talents because you're going for 25 Charisma. Charismatic Cast basically makes people get inflicted with Charmed if you hit them with a mantra, and then if they're charmed, they do less damage to you. And then Tough Love is when they're charmed, you do 10% more damage with your M1s and then 5% more damage with your mantras. And it's just a great little damage boost. But in order, so I'm not just explaining talents this whole video, just go on the wiki and press Control F and this little thing will show up. I already searched Risky Moves, that's crazy. And just search 25 agility and it will highlight all the things that are 25 agility in here, and on the right it will show you where they are. And you can do this with every single one. You could do 25 strength, 25 blah blah blah, and so on. But I also recommend check the 20s because there are sometimes 20 strength talents that you don't know. If you search 25 strength, it's only going to show 25 strength. So check the 20s, check the 15s, and so on in case you're missing something. If stats allow, I do recommend going 40 fortitude or 50 fortitude for these 2 great talents. Exoskeleton. Exoskeleton is super great and not super high stat requirement. It's high, but it's not that high. And then to the finish, which is 50 fortitude, you take 10% less damage when below 30% health. So these are kind of similar. If you get both of these, you're basically getting 20% damage resistance when you're under 30%. And this also gives you health. So highly recommend those two if you can get them. If you can't, just try and get really good equipment. And another really important thing to keep in mind, usually you don't need to worry about not being able to equip an armor for maxed out builds, but a lot of armors actually have either a stat requirement or a level requirement. So keep this in mind when you decide what power level you are stopping at and what stats you're going for. Like for instance, there are certain helmets that like are 15 fortitude, or there's certain armors that are like level 15 only. Search them up on the wiki beforehand to check you actually can equip that. So at the least, I do recommend going just a little bit of fortitude, like 25 or 15. 15 would probably do the trick, but 25 is that number. But of course, as I said, exoskeleton and to the finish are great if you can get them, but if you can't, no problemo. But as I was saying, 25 or 15 fortitude will basically be enough for most of the armors that you would need to equip. So good to get that just in case. Some equipment that I use is the star equipment. Star boots and star duster are usually good. They only have a level 10 requirement and are pretty solid. Like I have one right now that's gives me 30 health, which is pretty good. But you're going to want to find the right balance between health and physical resistance, since you won't have much resistance with your lower level outfits. And honestly, guys, don't forget to cater the build to yourself. With stats, keep your skill level in mind. With mantras, keep the ones you're comfortable with in mind, as long as you get them to high enough level for their damage to be proficient. So just make sure you get it to 80. And, maybe you like heavy weapons more. Go for a heavy weapon. Maybe you're better with the heavy weapon mantras. Go for the heavy weapon mantras. But honestly, one of the best ways you can cater your build to yourself too is with what traits you choose. For example, I'm pretty experienced, so I went 6 proficiency and 1 vitality for my main Voidwalker baiting build, which is this one right here, but switch them as you need. I highly do not recommend erudition or song chant though. These are a kind of a big waste of your traits. You're looking for high damage and or high health, and since you will primarily be using your weapon because you won't have that much ether, you should go for proficiency to increase your weapon damage. But yeah, that is the creation of your build. If that's all you wanted to hear, then that's cool. Click off the video. But if you want to hear more about like the actual baiting part of it, I'm going to get into that. So there's a couple things to keep in mind. If you see a server that looks like this, that's just a ton of big guilds. This is usually a really high level server where they're just ganking at some random place or doing 1v1s. So I would leave a server like this because I highly doubt there's any Voidwalkers progressing. So let's just start fresh. So you go on, blah, blah, blah. You go to your Voidwalker bait, go to whatever region you are, scroll to the very bottom and try and get the largest server. But I'd say the best location to be at is Arisia for a couple of reasons. It's honestly just very open. There's a lot of Voidwalker spawns. It's easy to see them coming. It's also just a more guarantee that you're going to get someone who's just looking for an easy bounty, because if you see that your target's at Arisia, they're probably not very good at the game, because Arisia is kind of a starter island. My 2 favorite spots, I like to just sit like right here, because there's a spawn that's right over here somewhere. I'm not exactly sure. It might be like down here, but they usually will come up right here if you're standing right here. And then also I like to hang around down here. This place is pretty good. And then just kind of around this area, because there is a Voidwalker spawn up there as well. Guys, I'm making a video right now. The reason I say to just stay in these spots is there are areas that Voidwalkers can't spawn on you. So I know for sure that this area between up here and down here is safe. They can spawn on you, they can spawn on you up there. So just try and stay in areas that you know a Voidwalker has spawned on you before, or else there's a chance that you just won't get one. Also, something I forgot to mention, but I'm editing the video right now and I'm like, wait a minute, that's probably important. The Voidwalkers can't spawn on you for I think 3 minutes after you initially join a server, so they won't even be able to. But after that point, just use your intuition to test if maybe there are no Voidwalkers in the server. Holy crap, get away from me. I usually wait about 6 to 8 minutes before switching servers if not a single one spawns on me, because some servers just don't have any or none at your power level. So just think about that when you're doing Voidwalker baiting. But yes, I don't think there's really anything else I can add to this, but good luck, have fun, and happy Voidwalker baiting. I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.